How many references are too many? I found not just brief ones like Naruto, Waldo, Dragon Ball and more hiding in the crowd, but entire scenes inspired by other shows such as Kototsu chasing RMC or You Believe I Cannot Pray with a Single Arm. The .25 speed rewatch helped me catch a lot of cool stuff sprinkled in Season 2, in addition to a few ex machinas that kept the plot together. Hello comrade, my name is Mahis. Come, get yourself a beverage and sit down with me. We got even more frames to inspect. Before we get into Shibuya though, we need to tackle the movie to maintain our previously established chronological order. It's very interesting, because you can clearly see that it was written prior to the main series and used as a framework to the point of straight up copy-pasting. Yuji and Yuta have two nigh-identical first quests. Go to a school with your Zenin buddy, watch them fail, and save the day yourself by unleashing your hidden power. Then go on another task, this time as a backup. Watch your buddy struggle and save the day again without using your hidden power. Dude, Gojo even used the same exact wording during the briefing. Don't let it out. Taking a step back to before he joined Jujutsu High, what does Panda mean by gravely injured when talking about Yuta's classmates who got stuffed in the closet? This has to be a cover-up to make him more integratable with other sorcerers, because no way these guys have survived. At 2950, we see the true protagonist combat training with his waifu, and it looks gorgeous, don't get me wrong. Yet pay attention to this block. It makes zero sense, cause Maki's entire face is exposed to a simple thrust. This is the right way to block it. Another interesting bit of animation is this cough medicine bottle. Not sure who's more autistic, me for noticing or the artist for drawing it, but I can't get enough of these insignificant bits of extra effort like with Utahimi's umbrella, Shoko's cigarette or this perfect loaf. Next we have another indicator of this being a pilot. Geto, introduced as the worst curse user ever. Noritoshi Kamo must have not been conceived at this point. And you mean to tell me only 100 bodies gets you this title? Anyone with Jujutsu energy can do that instead of their morning walk, and I bet you a McDouble, I don't have much more. There would have been a crazy sorcerer who'd beat that record just for lols. Also, as much as I love and understand his fall, Geto's plan to kill all non-sorcerers is the dumbest idea ever, because that would leave like a few hundred people max, which is way past the point of no return for humanity. And speaking of whom, what would normal people see in this case? Would the passengers be invisible too, or will they just fly on their asses, Betelgeuse style? At an hour and 10, we see Inumaki talking normally for the first and only time in the story. Yuta run away, which must be an indication of personal binding whilst not existing yet, as I'm positive that's the reason he doesn't use neutral phrases like hello or something. A few seconds later, we get a nice bit of visual storytelling. Okotsu assuming the stance he's been practicing all this time. Following that, we get our first Easter egg, reference, inspiration, homage, ripoff, whatever you wanna call it. Gojo beating the living crap out of Miguel the same way Ip Man does to General Miura. Unlike all the following, this one actually makes sense within the story, since Mr. Sex Eyes is a movie fan and must have seen Donnie Yen's 2010 classic. Remember the last video on my complaints about Maki's revolver? No such issue here, proper drop position and visible unfired cartridges. The last thing about this movie I want to bring up is Africa. Wondering why the first thing they showed was terrible traffic, I went googling and boom, here's a picture from Nairobi, the capital of Kenya. On to Season 2, we start with the question, does the technology shown match that of 2006? We all know about Windows XP, which must be serviced back to, so I tried to find any other identifiable pieces of tech and failed miserably. Other than looking like something we would have had back then, I can only say that Mei is not clicking her phone enough, as literally every action on these relics required at least one button press. Next we get to the time loop curse, which is very similar to that from Chainsaw Man. It's not a secret that some ideas have been exchanged between these two, such as the whole we gotta find smaller parts of the main antagonist so that they will help us locate the big bad himself, which doesn't get any follow-ups on Jujutsu Kaisen, but does see play in Chainsaw Man. Anyway, here there is a bit of foreshadowing before the grand reveal thanks to the notches in Harry's room, which suggests that somebody was trapped there for a while. As an unreasonably attentive person, I couldn't overlook Toji splitting chopsticks like that. He does it normally in the manga, so why spend extra effort and make it look so unusual? Maybe it is to show that things won't go as expected, or his plan not being as smooth, or this and him losing a bet is a subversion, so we don't expect him to kill Gojo until he does. I am very confused. At 15 minutes, girls are singing Stephen Foster's Beautiful Dreamer in Japanese, which is called Yumeji Yori. This is what the original sounds like. I tried to find information on why kids in Japan will be singing this particular song and came up empty-handed, so if anyone knows, I'd appreciate an explanation. Also, I must be tripping balls, cause what the hell is Fern doing here? Oh, and on the topic of random people being in random places, where the hell is everyone, or at least somebody, to greet the Star Plasma vessel, one of, if not the most important person in the country right now? Did you forget that if we don't get her to Tengen safe and sound, the literal world as we know it might go to shit? Okay, sure, say that they have relied on Geto and Gojo for that. However, not a single soul sensed the fight breaking out in your courtyard? I understand that there are a few sorcerers out there, yet nobody at all was in Jujutsu High at that time? I don't know, guarding sensitive data, protecting a cursed weapon vault, tending to injured sorcerers? But Mahis, Tengen barrier this, Tengen barrier that. Bullshit. Curses and curse users walked in like they owned the place during the Goodwill event, which means the Buckethead can't or won't do anything about an intruder. You can't possibly tell me nobody tried that before, plus having people like Noritoshi Kamo in your history, you can't just leave your headquarters without a simple patrol unit. I'm not saying they would have made a significant difference. Of course not. It's just incomprehensibly stupid to have such weak defenses, especially considering this mission's importance. For instance, if there were even weak sorcerers inside, they could have potentially taken on the swarm of flyheads, whose origin I struggle to pinpoint. Were they perhaps inside Toji's hidden inventory? Another item from his stash is good old Colt 1911 45 ACP. Very recognizable, easy to draw, it's an absolute beauty. At 1311, there is a slight animation error. Gojo became so good at reverse curse technique that he managed to restore some of his clothes, which were totally ruined. A few minutes later, I have a little continuity nitpick. For both the blade and the arm to be right next to him, Toji somehow needed to retract them, assume the I give up stance, and wait for hollow purple. He kinda did that after the fact, but what should have actually happened is the chain breaking here and the blade flying away, maintaining its previous momentum. Moreover, the damage the building received doesn't match the angle at which the attack was fired. As opposed to that, the next episode has one of the better visual storytelling moments in the entire show. While Geto is listening to the villagers, notice how at first there are two shadows symbolizing his inner conflict, protect normies or kill monkeys, and as soon as he makes up his mind, one of the candles goes out, leaving only a single shadow. Episode 30 has a couple of neat moments to lighten the mood after such a heavy backstory. A Pink Panther reference on Yuji's phone, plus his contact avatar being a tiger because he has a nickname, the Tiger of West Junior High, and having a kanji for tiger in his last name. Then there's Fushiguro, who was all, I only drink my coffee black cause I'm so serious, only to have an open cream thing a second later, which doesn't fit any other drinks. Also, can I say that I absolutely adore how Nobara and Megumi jump at the opportunity to get their friend a girl. No sass, no jealousy, no sabotage, just straight up, you wanna date our boy Yuji? We got you! Why don't other stories do that? Class 1A girls knew with 99% certainty that Uraraka had a thing for Deku, yet they did nothing, so it took these two 8 years and some fan pressure just to begin to date. It's not even about romance, it's your friends being true homies, which is definitely part of the shonen formula. Back to the sad stuff. This tried and true misdirection we saw with Mekabaru's reveal is not unique, and I can immediately think of two other shows that use this exact method. Atla with the gang searching for Appa under Lake Laogai, and Team 7 looking for Sasuke in one of Orochimaru's hideouts. Following that, we have our first major Deus Ex Machina. Actually, the whole interaction from start to finish is a clusterfuck because none of this makes sense. First, Mahito fully cured Kokichi and even updated his never walked software to know how to move around so fast he lost track of it. You can say, well, he had a binding vow so he couldn't pull a Wishmaster and in general wanted to fight Muda for fun. Sure, I'll buy that, but not Mekamaru's actions. Why did you not make more precautions to tell people that Gojo is in danger instead of waiting until after he is sealed? Where's the logic here? You obviously didn't spawn these Minimaros while fighting Mahito, so you mean to tell me you were allowed to do all this elaborate shit with saying goodbye to Miwa and helping Yuji, but couldn't make a couple for before he's sealed? And don't forget stuff like delayed email or delayed text, which you could have sent to everyone. Second is, why the hell did you re-engage Mahito? Instead of changing clothes and playing out your Gurengelian fantasy, make a fucking call to somebody or run your naked ass away. Geto hasn't put up a veil yet, so nothing prevents you from getting the word out other than sheer arrogance and stupidity. These guys plan on sealing Gojo knowing full well who he is, not to mention how they have already successfully attacked the school, and you have the nerve to think you can kill them alone? This is arguably the weakest part of JJK's plot, as it was the best case scenario for Mekamaru, and he still managed to blow it. To add to that, he somehow has footage from inside the incomplete domain that spawned in the Juvie detention, including Sukuna's shrine and other scenes he has no business knowing about. Alright, we finally made it to Shibuya, so you know what time it is. Easter eggs, lots and lots of hidden references and other callbacks. Hachiko is the most obvious one, since it's actually part of the station IRL and commemorates the sad story of a very loyal dog. Then we have the Scream, Hawking Phoenix Joker, Portal Turret, this helmet I 100% recognize, just can't remember, Kick-Ass most likely, here's Waldo, Pennywise most likely, Bunny Senpai, Princess Peach, Frankenstein, Trafalgar Law, maybe Freddy Krueger, another Waldo, or he's tough as shit to survive this and be chill about it, Kagitane Hiruko, Android 18, Naruto, Mario, Joker again with Post Therapy Harley, Adventure Time, not really but they made me think of it, a different Waldo, Zoldyck Zeno, Zoldyck Killua, Gon's Jajangken, Ichigo vs Aizen Sword Catch, and Uvo outmaneuvering Kurapika with him blocking the punch. Now, I probably smoked the carpet on a few of these, as well as 100% missed some, so if you have anything to add or disprove, be my guest. And while the carpet is still strong with this one, I think I understand why Mei Mei has this silver haircut. It literally acts like a projector screen for her curse technique, which minimizes distractions. Episode 32 is pretty much what brought the whole Shibuya arc from 10 to 9 out of 10 for me, because the stupid grasshopper didn't contribute anything to the story and only took up valuable time with its nonsense. This scene, for example, takes 8 seconds. A grasshopper making confused noises for 8 damn seconds. I swear, it felt like watching One Piece. Shit takes forever, they reuse frames, Yuji pops in and out of existence, and it has no lasting impact. On to our next little Deus Ex Machina. Nobody sees what's inside the train until the supernatural reflections go away at the last second for a dramatic reveal. Then we have a cascade of humans coming from upper levels, which makes me wonder, what was the point? 90% of them are going to die from either the fall or bodies piling on top of them, making them useless as hostages or meat shields, which goes against the curse's master plan. And let's zoom out for a second. How is everybody so calm here? As soon as the first few guys died, the entire place would have turned into a stampede of people running for their lives, cause panic spreads far and wide even if most people didn't actually see what happened. Look at them, they're just standing there, not even filming, after witnessing all this crazy shit. On top of that, it says that the survivors of B5 returned to normal 2 months later. How did they survive 10 million curses being released? It doesn't look like any rescue efforts have taken place on the streets, let alone deep underground. On the flip side, this moment at 16 minutes is a good part of the narrative where we see the exact moment Mahito lost. He became too human in the sense of growing overconfident and deviating from the plan for no real reason. Kinda reminds me of Cinder Fall. She was a great villain until her power-hungry ass started acting on her own, which resulted in a few devastating losses for the bad guys. Episode 35 begins with the explanation of what the curse users were doing in regards to veils by employing an idiom Egg of Columbus. It basically refers to something you wouldn't think of right away, but what will be incredibly obvious in hindsight, like setting up an impervious barrier and sitting outside of it to divert the enemy's attention. Next, I want to point out a few more pieces of visual storytelling after acknowledging that the animators were probably too stressed to keep up with Ichiji's phones. Haruta, during the fight with Nobara and Nanami, has his miracle counters obscured until we get an explanation of how it works, after which Kento Dude erases all remaining ones, 3 of which with a single attack. Think of how strong that punch must have been to be worth 3 whole miracles. It was barely not enough. He survived, met Sukuna who told him to shut up, and died a few minutes later because he didn't. Seriously, the King of Curses let him hop on his merry way. But this twink just couldn't help himself not to yell, so he got immediately dismantled. During the fight between Blood Brothers, Mekamaru explains Choso's abilities while signs in the metro station supplement what he is talking about. This one is not exactly visual storytelling, yet it's cool that after losing a tooth, Choso launched it as a projectile a minute or so later. Oh, and this kick Itadori pulled off is the exact same he used in episode 1, just from a different angle. In the last video I asked you, where did these two get the umbrellas from? And in this season, the question is, where was Kusakabe hiding his katana? This entire time, neither he nor Panda were shown to carry it, so... Post-production allergy succumbing Mahis here. I went back to all his scenes and realized that up close they never show it, but in most zoomed out shots, it's clearly visible. In episode 39, Sukuna graces us with his presence, and I find it funny that although Jogo took one knee and got punished for it, he didn't change his position afterwards. One budget burning later, Mr. Fingers engaged Maharaga and at some point said the following line: "You can see it, Maharaga, you can see my curse technique," which means that this girthy boy in plain English found a way to perceive Sukuna's invisible dismantle, giving his opponent a tactical combat boner. This is important because from this point, he starts faking attacks to force a defensive response from the Shikigami in order to strike from a different direction. By the way, where did this plane come from? Unless it was taking off for landing, why would the pilot be anywhere near the erupting volcano that was Jogo's final performance? Otherwise, the debris from this fight went up several kilometers to reach a cruising plane, which means there is an issue with scale. For example, Malevolent Shrine erased everything in a 140 meter radius. Yeah, that doesn't look like a 140 meter radius at all. One city block is about 100 give or take, and this looks like something out of One Punch Man universe. We're talking kilometers here, so let's put up an actual map over the JJK's version of Shibuya. This initial void is about 3.5 kilometers or 2 freedom units across, which is 10 times what Sukuna's domain expansion should have been. At 4:46, Todo drops the hottest quote in the show. Literally, it took me forever to record. "The sound of the Gion Shouja bells echoes the impermanence of all things. The color of the Sala flowers reveals the truth that the prosperous must decline. However, only we are the exception." The first half of this cites the opening of the all-time Japanese classic Heike Monogatari, a story of rise and tragic fall of the Taira clan that has a lot of Buddhist undertones of everything has an end. The second verse, on the other hand, only we are the exception, likely speaks to him rejecting fate and encouraging his brother to fight even in the direst of circumstances. I really like how Aoi knows when to slap and when to uplift. What an absolute Chad. Their opponent, though, is the exact opposite. While every curse fought tooth and nail till the bitter end regardless of the odds they encountered, Mahito totally folded as soon as he faced an unwinnable struggle. He even did a petty rock throw at Yuji and attempted to kill Kinchaku from behind, exactly as a human would. Episode 46 introduces another gun, this time a rifle, Winchester Model 70. A timeless classic loved by many hunters, yet I wonder if it's a bit too dated as an anti-curse weapon in 2018. What's more questionable is Mai's shooting pose, which is known as a seated sniper cradle. To my understanding, it's to be used when there are no suitable objects to rest your weapon on, which shouldn't be the case in a destroyed urban environment. At 14:04 of the finale, there is an error. A curse is visible on camera, which shouldn't be the case. Before getting into the last detail, I want to complain about this scene. I was watching it well past midnight and really did not appreciate this flashbang. That brings us to Yuji's clothes. His old uniform got severely damaged, so he's now rocking a sports fit he likely scrambled from an abandoned store. Iwasai, Mahis revealing my unemployment into the microphone. Have a great, whatever time of the day you have. Until next time, cheers. The sounds of the Gion Shouja bells. The sound of the Gion Shouja bells. Shouja bells? The sound of the Gion Shouja bell. Что? The sound of the Gion Shouja... Fuck!